gunfire was transported from Boulder to a funeral home in nearby Aurora, and candlelight vigils were held in Boulder for all the victims. The suspected shooter, Ahmed Al-Alivi Alisa, has been charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder. He's scheduled to make his first appearance in court this morning. 2 days after the 10 people were murdered at this grocery store in Colorado, a man was arrested at an Atlanta supermarket with a semi-automatic rifle, a shotgun and 4 handguns. The man was also wearing body armor and had a cache of ammunition. Atlanta police have identified the suspect and said he'd been charged with reckless conduct. Brazil has topped 300,000 confirmed COVID-19 deaths, becoming the second country yesterday to do so amid a spike in infections that has seen the South American country report record death tolls in recent days. The United States reached that grim milestone on the 14th of December, but has a larger population than Brazil. AstraZeneca has released an updated estimate of how well its coronavirus vaccine works 2 days after federal scientists accused the company of cherry-picking data included in a press release touting the results of the company's Phase 3 U.S. trial. Drug giant AstraZeneca updating its data on how well its vaccine works, saying late yesterday that the vaccine showed 76% efficacy against symptomatic coronavirus disease and 100% against severe or critical disease or the need for hospitalization. The White House said it plans to spend $10 billion to expand COVID-19 vaccinations at community health centers around the United States and boost awareness and trust of COVID-19 vaccines, among other efforts. Public health experts at a White House briefing yesterday touted mounting signs of progress in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Dozens of states are opening vaccinations to all adults or plan to do so within weeks, and 70% of Americans 65 or older already have received at least one dose. Dr. Anthony Fauci said Americans are at the corner during a White House briefing, but the nation's top infectious disease expert clarified whether or not we are going to be turning the corner remains to be seen. A growing share of Americans feel that resuming activities like dining out or flying within a few weeks of the second dose is fine, but 25 to 30% will wait until the nation reaches herd immunity. COVID-19 was responsible for the most deaths in Dallas County during the 12-month period dating back to the start of the pandemic in March of last year. And the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Dallas Convention Center may soon reach its limit for unaccompanied minors from the border. The convention center is able to hold up to 3,000 teenagers. President Biden announced yesterday that Vice President Kamala Harris will lead the administration's effort to curb a surge of migrants trying to cross the southern border into the United States. She will work with the governments of El Salvador, Guatemala and Honduras to figure out ways to work together to reduce the flow of migrant families and unaccompanied minors seeking asylum in the United States. President Biden is also expected this morning to lay out a new goal for U.S. vaccinations against COVID-19 at his first formal White House news conference, where topics will likely include immigration, infrastructure, gun control, and foreign relations. The U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee will vote today on whether to approve 2 of President Biden's nominees for the number 2 and number 3 posts at the Justice Department, a move that will pave the way for Lisa Monaco and Vinita Gupta to receive a confirmation vote on the Senate floor. The chief executives of Facebook, Google and Twitter go before Congress today to answer questions about extremism and misinformation on their services in their first appearances since pro-Trump rioters assaulted the U.S. Capitol on the 6th of January. The joint hearing by 2 subcommittees will be attended by Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Sundar Pichai, the chief executive of Google parent Alphabet, and Twitter Inc. CEO Jack Dorsey. Virginia yesterday became the first southern U.S. state to abolish the death penalty and the 23rd state in the country to end capital punishment. The UN Security Council criticized the protracted political, constitutional, humanitarian and security crisis in Haiti and again urged the government to hold long-delayed legislative elections and prepare for presidential elections this year. The Suez Canal, a major waterway blocked by that huge container ship that ran aground, remains blocked despite efforts to dislodge that vessel. And vote tallying in Israel resumed this morning in the deadlocked parliamentary elections held earlier this week, with neither Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu nor those determined to topple him gaining a clear path to forming a government. This vote, the 4th Israeli parliamentary election in 2 years, was widely seen as a referendum on Netanyahu's fitness to rule while under indictment. Israel has administered 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine to more than half its 9.3 million population, a rapid rollout that has helped the country begin emerging from pandemic closures. And European Union leaders are set this morning to provide new incentives to Turkey to improve cooperation on migration and trade despite democratic backsliding in the country and lingering concern about its energy exploration ambitions in the Mediterranean Sea. Turkey rejected French President Emmanuel Macron's suggestions that Ankara could seek to interfere in France's next election by manipulating public opinion. Belgium and France have tightened restrictions in an effort to curb a surge of cases of COVID-19 as a third wave of the pandemic takes hold across Europe. Belgium will close schools, non-food stores and hairdressers for 4 weeks from Saturday in a sharp renewed lockdown designed to contain a rising third wave of infections. And the European Union moves towards stricter export controls for COVID-19 shots, seeking to make sure its 27 nations have more shots to boost the bloc's flagging vaccine campaign amid a surge in new infections. Chancellor Angela Merkel has defended her government's decision to procure coronavirus vaccines jointly with the European Union, saying a failure to do so would shake the bloc to its core. And the number of new confirmed coronavirus cases in Germany has jumped this morning to over 22,600 to 2.713 million, the biggest increase since the 9th of January. Poland has reported a record high number of new cases for the second day in a row as the Prime Minister prepares to give details of harsher restrictions for the Easter period. And London's Court of Appeal refused Johnny Depp permission to challenge a verdict last year that concluded the Hollywood actor was a wife-beater, meaning he has exhausted his legal fight against the ruling in Britain. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan. North Korea test-fired 2 ballistic missiles this morning, Pyongyang's second missile test in a week. South Korea's military said the 2 short-range missiles were fired 20 minutes apart from North Korea's east coast, traveling about 280 miles before landing there in the sea. And Taiwan has begun mass production of a long-range missile and is developing 3 other models in a rare admission of efforts to develop strike capacity amid growing Chinese pressure. The Hong Kong government has told some foreign consulates to stop accepting a British travel document that many of its young people use to apply for working holiday visas in Europe, North America and parts of Asia. Prime Minister Hun Sen had earlier ordered all pagodas to use this traditional method of alerting residents as a message to fight against COVID-19. The Southeast Asian nation of Cambodia has 16 million population and among the lowest reported number of coronavirus cases in the world. Thailand has granted emergency authorization to Janssen, the single-dose coronavirus vaccine of Johnson & Johnson, the third vaccine to be cleared for local use. India, meanwhile, recorded over 53,400 new coronavirus cases in a day, the highest single-day rise so far this year. The active caseload registered an increase for the 15th day in a row. In the wake of this surging new cases, the centre may be forced to recalibrate its vaccine diplomacy. India has already put a temporary hold on all major exports of the AstraZeneca shot made by the Serum Institute. And a total of 771 COVID variants, including a double mutant, have been found across 18 Indian states, but there is no evidence to link the current surge in some states to these strains. The government has said the expansion of the vaccination drive to cover all above 45 years is intended to prioritize the group that is most vulnerable to the disease, accounting for 88% of over 1.6 lakh COVID-19 deaths in India. Maharashtra, Punjab, Kerala, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh and Gujarat are reporting a surge in daily cases, and the duration of the Kumbh Mela in Haridwar has been curtailed to just a month for the first time in its history in view of this recent surge in cases, and has been made mandatory for pilgrims to have a negative test. Thousands of devotees take a dip in the holy river during the Mela, with their number increasing manifold on the days of the Shahi Snan. And it is held once in 12 years, and the congregation usually lasts around 3.5 months. The number of complaints of domestic violence received by the National Commission for Women has risen sharply in India last year. And Samyukta Kisan Morcha, a front of protesting farmer unions, has appealed to the citizens of the country to make the Bharat Bandh March tomorrow a complete success. We do have news that Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on National Security in Islamabad, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, denied media reports of him being considered for Pakistan's new High Commissioner to India. And the military parade in connection with Pakistan Day celebrations, previously postponed due to inclement weather, was held in the capital this morning at the parade ground. And President Alvi attended the parade as the chief guest. Pakistan has reported its highest number of daily COVID cases since July, and the death toll has crossed 14,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have in the news for you on this 25th day of March. And we have